Hey everyone, how's it going? Elliot here again. In today's video, we're going to be doing a refurbishing video on a Toshiba Walkie. This one was sold to me on eBay for around about £10 and was faulty. So I'm really looking forward to actually taking this apart. You can see on the side that there's a kind of a little bit of rust, and where the plastic is kind of discolored, it's missing some of the paint, but that's not a big deal. It kind of adds to the look of it, which is ultimately the reason why I picked this up, because I think it looks really, really cool. So without any further ado, let's get into the video. So the first thing we're going to need to take this apart is undo these screws around the back and the sides. Now unfortunately on the front there's actually some rust. I'm not entirely sure how that's gotten there, but we will need to somehow deal with that. What I'll probably try and do is just get a flathead, scrape some of it away, and then hopefully I'll have enough leverage to get those screws out. I don't think I'm going to be able to replace them, so I need to be really careful not to break them. And yeah, so let's go ahead and do that then. So it's actually been about 4 or 5 days since I last tried to take this thing apart and fix it. I wasn't able to get in because the screws on the side have basically completely rusted over. So I pretty much gave up on it, and then I got really, really bored, took out some of my needle nose pliers and just hacked away at the screw, and the top snapped off. So I have been able to actually get inside this. I haven't really taken a very intricate look at what the thing I need to repair is on this, but at least I'm now inside, so that's a benefit. So if we just kind of slide the bottom off, we might need to do it whilst it's open, like so. And then it can all come off like that, which is rather nice. So now we have full access to the wheel, and if you see, if I begin to kind of somewhat scrape the remnants of the belt off the inside, you can see how it's all kind of completely congealed and broken. So I'm going to need to get some isopropyl alcohol, and we'll have a go at cleaning up this. Right, so I've got a few extra supplies this time. We've got some isopropyl alcohol, a little bit of toilet roll because this gooey stuff, I don't really want it on my microfiber cloths, and some Q-tips and some toothpicks. So I think what we shall start with is just trying to get this slightly larger wheel here sorted out, because that one's a little bit easier to get access to. And then we've got the smaller one here, which is what's actually connected to the motor, which from what I can hear when I try and turn this thing on, does actually work. You can also see that it's kind of all gone onto this top part here, so we can do with cleaning that off as well. So in fact, yeah, we'll get rid of that first, I think, because that's the easiest part to get to. So you want to do your best to, you know, don't use that Q-tip again once that's like that, because it is a really, really awful material. Clean the inside of that off a little bit more. You can begin to see it's all coming off now, which is absolutely excellent. Yeah, it's really nasty. Although if we get some isopropyl on there, we don't want it to get into the mechanism though, which is it's going to be quite difficult not to do that. So that is looking way better. I think we're actually going to be able to get a belt around here now. So I bought a little bundle of belts, and now it's time to try and fit one of them on. And I'm pretty certain it's going to be this little middle size here. Now the difficulty with these bundle of belts is that sometimes they are really cheap quality. Now I've done a video on belts before in the past, and you can kind of sometimes get like a different thickness of the belt all the way around. And now the difficulty with that is you hear that when you're listening to the Walkman, you can actually begin to hear that, because there's different amounts of tension on the tape head as it goes around. So therefore, when it passes the little reader, it has like a different speed, or it's just basically means that you're not going to get like a perfect playback of the cassette tape. So I put a belt in there. Now that might be a little bit too tight. You can see it's quite tight, but it's not too bad. So that should be okay. So there we go. Look at that. We are in business. That looks rather good. So what I'm going to need to do is grab some headphones and a tape. Okay, so I've got my cassette tape in here now, and I've got a speaker plugged in. So if we go ahead and pop that into there and press play, nothing happens. Why is nothing happening? You can actually see, the motor is really trying to get going, but it's just not quite enough. Oh. Oh. The speed is coming back. The speed's getting there. It's picking up. Come on. Right, well that was somewhat painful. Okay, so it does actually look like this thing is working, which is rather ideal. We've removed the old horrible goo, we've put a new belt in, and now we're going to go ahead and just reassemble it. So that's pretty decent. Rather happy with how this is going so far. I'm happy that I was able to get that screw off, because otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video and I wouldn't be even close to as far as I am now. So that looks pretty good. Everything's still spinning nice and freely, which is ideal. Now the issue we still have is that this little screw that was stuck in here is somewhat still in there. So we need to remove the remnants of that screw, which I wonder if I can do by just twisting the little end that's stuck in there out. There we go. Right, let's slot that all back down into there like so. Close it all up, which it seems to be doing quite nicely. There we go, had a nice little click as everything just popped into place there, which is always satisfying. So I've given the little volume wheel a little clean. There's also a tiny little metal kind of screw, which is what holds that volume wheel in place, and that has a little bit of rust on it, or kind of like a corrosion oxidized layer. So I might be able to get that off with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol. We'll give that a try. And you don't have to have the right tools to be able to put these things on and off. If you get yourself some thin tweezers, then you can use that, and that will be enough pressure to tighten this thing. Right, we could also do with giving the battery contact a little clean as well on the inside there. It's just a little bit rusty on that one spring. It seems to be working fine though, with no issues. Right, now for the moment of truth is to see if this thing's working. So the motor's spinning. Fast forward and rewind both seems to be working. Super happy with that. Plug that in, press play. Super happy with how this has turned out. It looks like it sounds really good, which is always a positive. And if it does actually sound really nice on headphones, which I will test out in just a second, this could be my new daily Walkman player, because I love the look of it. It just looks super retro, and I'm all about the aesthetic as well as the functionality. So let's just give it one last little rub over. clean it up because goodness knows who had this before me. You could, if you wanted, of course, spray paint it. The difficulty with that though is there's actually kind of painted text on there. So spray painting that would obviously remove that. It's a little bit different to a Game Boy where there's only an A and a B. But there we go, that looks really, really good. Super happy with that. Okay, let's plug it into some headphones and see if it sounds as good on there as it does through the speaker. Right, we'll plug that in. Grab my headphones. Left and right channel works absolutely great. That is excellent. I'm super happy with that. Really, really happy with that. It looks blimmin' brilliant. Okay, so thank you very much for checking out this video. Hope you have had a lovely Christmas as it is that time of year, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.